So he grew up a military brat, born in New York, and then he himself served an impressive 20 years in the Army. That included Operation Enduring Iraqi Freedom, where he did communications, IT automations, logistics, and recruiting. 10 months ago, he was the delivery driver at SurTerra Medical Marijuana dispensary. Now, the assistant manager of our Bayou Boulevard store and opening another store. So Army veteran, bud tender, which is sidebar, my favorite title ever. Spaghetti and meatballs epicure. Marcus Alfinez.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. The spaghetti and meatballs we'll get into a little later. It's quite interesting, actually.
Oh, really? We can get into it now? Tell me about it.
It's an analogy I use for most people who come in to actually purchase cannabis. As many have come to know, it's very, very daunting, the amount of information that's out there and trying to figure out what they're going to use. So the analogy I use is, imagine you're buying spaghetti and meatballs, or you're ordering spaghetti and meatballs. Spaghetti being your CBD and your meatballs being your THC, the same on every dish. But what makes your dish great is the sauce. Whether it's white sauce, whether it's red sauce, whether you want garlic, Parmesan, it's going to change the flavor of your spaghetti and meatballs. So when you're buying cannabis, shop by the terpenes. The sauce is going to change the effects of your medicinal. And it's quite enlightening to see how the light bulb goes off when they connect the two dots. So
that's so good.
Thank you.
I think no wonder you're opening the other store, because so that's how we met. Is I came into the dispensary. I just got my medical card and wasted no time to try to get some products that I need. And it is really overwhelming. But I had read and researched. So I came in and was like, what's the terpene profile?
And that was impressive.
Yeah, so we hit it off right away. But when I talked to other people about medical marijuana and the benefits, and they start asking me the difference between CBD and THC and terpenes, I mean, it's like they're in science class and they start just glazing over. So how do you help somebody, how do you explain all of that to someone who's glazing over and only knows what their doctor gives them?
That in itself is the challenge. When we get cannabis naive patients that come in, a lot of the bud tenders like to get overexcited and dump truck. We want to share our knowledge. We want people to be better. Unfortunately, that could be overwhelming. So what we try to do is we direct it towards the patient's needs initially. We try to explain to them why the product will work from whichever they're choosing, but after informing them. And then on their second or third visit, we try to enlighten them more information as they're figuring out their medicinal and figuring out how it works for them. Hopefully, at the same time, they're going to do some of their own research as well. Because that's the one great thing about the cannabis industry, is that you pioneer it yourself. You're not herded like cattle through a doctor's office. So once they come back on their second or third visit, we'll enlighten them with the terpenes and, did it work for you? Okay, this is why it worked for you. If it didn't, this is why it didn't work for you. And now we're going to guide you more towards something that did.
It's totally different than the effects of, a mainstream medicine. For me, it's been different because I'm really grateful that I'm pretty self-aware. I'm pretty in tune with my body, and I'm pretty, I got a lot of words. So I can explain things in different ways until someone understands what I'm saying. But I have found in trying to help different friends with their process, just having someone to talk to, they don't have the words and there's not that self-awareness. I'm like, okay, so it made you feel uncomfortable. What part of your body felt the high? And they're like, I don't know.
They just felt uncomfortable.
Okay, so next time, tell me, where do you feel at first? And then did you eat anything? That's the one thing I wish I had done starting out, is kept a journal about what I ate and how much did I take and what time of day and what was the duration, what was the delay of the, effect.
Absolutely. And that actually is one thing that bud tenders, or if they don't, they should advise, especially new patients or first timers, cannabis naive patients. When they come in, let them know, take a journal. Here's some paper. When they give you your dosing sheets, take your notes on here so you keep a track of it. But that also is what is a problem now, because there's two basic main niches, if you will. You have your medicinal and you have your recreational. And that's creating a big problem because a lot of bud tenders are sticking with the recreational because that's the booming part right now. But they're not advising the way they should. They're not taking the pride in their career field to learn their product so they can properly advise persons to or consumers to use their product. My fear, unfortunately, is that if or when it does become recreationally legal, the medicinal side is going to become more of a connoisseur. Hopefully by then as well, when it is recreationalized and medicinal laws and regulations have come forward, then insurances will be on board as well. So not so much just connoisseur, but patients who really need it medicinally rather than recreationally, who are really searching for their wellness, will be able to get it at a fraction of the cost, hopefully.
I hope so too.
That's the plan.
Yeah. So talk to me about who's eligible for a medical marijuana card in the state of Florida.
That's an awesome question. Just about anybody who has a qualifying medicinal cause. And those qualifying causes or qualifying diagnosis could be anything from HIV, severe anxiety, stress, chronic pain, cancer. There's a multitude, but a person would have to see a doctor first. And it wouldn't necessarily be their primary doctor unless their primary doctor went through the training. My advice is definitely shop around, look around for different doctors. Some doctors don't really care. Some doctors do, and they'll go through a little bit more detail with you, but do not expect the doctor to go in full detail with you. That's what the bud tenders are for. That's what they rely on us for. So, and some doctors will actually recommend some other dispensaries over others because of the quality of care they get, and as well as the product and the medicinal treatment or regimen that we kind of help the doctor get them on.
I agree. I think there's a need for another helper in there. In California, and starting here, I met one nurse so far, but cannabis nurses that kind of act as that missing link between, oh, I have my card and I got approved and now I have this email or this card and now I'm going and I'm essentially talking to a sales associate, and God bless the sales associates or they're the bud tenders because the stuff that they hear. They're like, I got a rash. Let me just show you real quick. You're like, oh God, lady, no.
Yeah, they get personal.
Yeah, and he's like, literally, I just started here a week ago, and it's poor guys or poor girls. But I'm hoping that will become more of a thing because it gives more credibility to the industry. When medical became available in California, and people use their medical terms with large air quotes. I have headaches. And then it was like a joke. Yeah, it got the ball rolling, but I think maybe industry-wise, it kind of made it like a silly thing. Yes. Like
it put out another part of the stigma out there. First, there was the stigma of, okay, I don't want to get high. It's a gateway drug. And then there was a stigma of, okay, it's just a joke now. This is not medicinal. We're just getting it so we can have our recreational side to it. And from what I've gathered, what I've seen in my career of 9 months, 10 months now, over the multitude of patients that I've assisted, is that there's most patients like a little bit of both. Yeah. They like the medicinal effect and they see the benefits of that. So then they go and use it a little bit recreational to keep their mood up, to keep their balance. And the way it works is cannabis works to balance out a person's homeostasis. It balances out everything within your body. And this was recently discovered in the mid to late 90s as far as the endocannabinoid system.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It balances out your digestive tract, your nervous system, your cardio system, everything in between by two receptors that we know of so far. So science is going to get us a little bit further, but for those who don't know what it treats, it could treat anything from a simple headache, chronic pain, chronic sight pain, to more neurological issues such as anxiety, stress, depression, anything in between. So I definitely encourage people to try it out and check it out, but do your research first.
Yes, I would agree. Yeah. What about the people that say, well, I can get all those things with just CBD?
And that's a great point. And you actually can. Again, do your research on it because you want to get quality CBD. You want cannabis CBD more over than hemp CBD. Hemp CBD is a good product. However, it's not medicinal. It's industrialized. So it's meant to be used for products around your house, rope, cleaners, stuff like that. and the amount that they put in it is not enough to really give you medicinal benefit. However, when you get cannabis CBD, you can get CBD with very little, which is less than 0.8%, makes it low THC CBD, that has the same effect. And the reason it's important you get it from a dispensary is because there's liability. You know you're going to get quality product. You know there's somebody to come back to verify your product. The other thing about having CBD with THC is that you get the entourage effect. So you're going to get the full benefits. And what that means is CBD, like anything else, if you take too much, can overload. It just kind of becomes waste in your body. THC is going to help carry it through, along with the terpene profiles and other cannabinoids that are found in it, such as, let's say, not to get too scientifical, but myrcene in a product will help CBD let you sleep. If it has limonene, it's a CBD product that will help you with your issues during the day. So,
AKA make you real motivated to organize a closet.
There you go.
Because that happened. So I was like, oh, this is 24% THC. I'm going to be sleeping in no time. This is great. 25 minutes later, you know what? I've been thinking about this project. I think I'll be in the shed, babe. Yeah. And then next morning, and that really helped me because, I had the thing that talks about what terpenes are in it. And I was like,
Yep.
And then I also started taking my essential oils more seriously because I was like, oh, that's mad. And like eucalyptol is so good for me because it's like I'm super focused. But if I have it anywhere near me at night, forget about it. I ain't sleeping.
No, it'll keep you up.
Yeah. So, but for other people, that terpene is sleepy time. So so what about you? Do you have like a personal story of like medicinal benefit with THC?
I do, actually. Like you mentioned, I am a 20-year Army vet. Didn't do too much physically, but besides what the Army requires of you, which is in itself a lot. After retirement, chronic lower back pain, chronic knee pain, anxiety, stress, PTSD, the whole gambit, but not too extreme with cannabis. Cannabis actually helps me settle it down. It's allowed me to get off of all my VA pills. There was about 7 of them.
What?
Yeah, so I no longer take those. It's been almost 10 months, almost since I started working. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm more clear-headed. I'm more active with my kids. I'm more just all around a better person. I don't feel the grogginess. I don't have the side effects. I'm not worried about my kidneys failing from all these other byproducts and opioids. I don't have to fight the doctor to get pain medicine.
Yep.
With the opioid crisis going on out there, for somebody who's really suffering to get pain medicine, it's tragic. It's bad. And the reason that is, I believe, is most doctors don't allow you to take part in your own self-wellness. Again, it's like herding cattle. It's like, all right, chop through. Here's your ibuprofen. Here's your Percocets. Here's your Vicodin. See me in 2 weeks. With cannabis, you can actually take control of it. You can actually monitor it. You can see what works for you. You can find a certified bud tender or a bud tender that's willing to work with you, that has taken pride in their career field to work with you, and truly find your wellness. We obviously can't say that it treats anything or that it will heal anything, but it definitely does improve quality of life.
I like what you said about finding your wellness. It's a totally different mindset than taking a prescription from the doc, from your traditional doc, and going home and doing what it says. You're more of a participant in your wellness. And I think not everyone's ready for that. I think especially generationally, there's definitely, I can think of examples of women, especially I think, who just do what the doctor tells them to do. Well, my doctor told me to do this, and so I'm doing it. And I said, did you ask what the side effects are? Which makes me a huge pain in the ass when I go to the doctor's office, because that was not how I was raised. And so my mom made me ask my own questions at the doctor's office, I think at age like 14 or something.
Good
so she
honor.
would not, shout out to the mom.
Absolutely.
So when I go to the doctor's office, I got my medical card for my period pain. It's like so extreme. And so when I go there, they're like, well, we could do X, Y, or Z. And I'm like, cool, what's the side effects of that? And you can just tell by their face that nobody's asking those questions. And, I try not to get too angry, because doctors are doing the best that they can in the system that is existing, right? So I'm not vilifying them at all. But
absolutely,
at some point, I'm like, dude, this is not a fit. Like, thank you for this very expensive date in which I paid for, but don't call me, I'll call you.
Absolutely.
And then I am out, doing, trying to figure things out on my own. But the 1-to-1 ratio has been great for me. 1-to-1 meaning, equal parts CBD, equal parts THC. And so for those that don't know, THC is the part that is more psychoactive. Did I say that right? Okay.
We like to use the term euphoric. Psychoactive term tends to scare people sometimes.
That does scare people.
Yeah, especially if they're naive. So we use euphoric. And that's actually the perfect segue for that spaghetti and meatballs, because that's where I use it the most. Because that's what you're going to see a lot of, is a lot of one-to-ones. Yeah. So, okay, I had a one-to-one at this dispensary, but I want a one-to-one here. Well, what kind of one-to-one did you have? If a bud tender's not asking you that, then they're not really caring what you're there for. They just want your money. And that goes to the white sauce and red sauce. I use white sauce more for daytime effects. So one-to-one with high limonene or eucalyptol, alpha pinene, or the one-to-one like more relaxing is going to be more heavy in myrcene, linalool, terpenoline, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and it's good to know, because then you could shop. Well, I want a one-to-one. Well, what kind of one-to-one do you want? Well, I want one that's going to help me sleep. So I need one that has myrcene or limonol or terpenoline, and it helps them figure out their wellness.
It does. It does. Terpenes, I think, is a great place to start your research, because it's a lot, like it's kind of sciencey. So
very science.
There's on Pinterest is actually very helpful. So everybody
really?
Yeah. So you can just type into Pinterest terpene 101, and then it will show you a list of terpenes and their effect on most people, most being the operative thing, because like eucalyptus is like spa time for a lot of people, but it's, for me, I'm not sure it is. So the eucalyptal and the rosemary is particularly like focusing. I can follow through. I can sit still. So experimenting with essential oils has kind of made me go, okay, well, what is that in a cannabis product? And how can that help me? And how can that fill a need for me? So it's
absolutely
identifying the terpene, identifying the need that you're trying to fill. Has been the anti-overwhelm.
Have you found success in it though?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So like right now I'm using 0.25 milliliters of a 1-to-1, and it's like 150 milligrams. So I did the 250 and it was too much. But also I set my timer. So every 4 hours when I know I'm going to have pain. So then it's that time. I like to call it Shark Week. Shark Week. I set my timer every 4 hours, and then I take 0.25 milliliters, and then I can be good, and I don't feel weird. So I'm just.
You found your balance. You found your wellness.
Yeah, I do have to eat before though.
And see, some people don't even mind on that, or even think to consider that.
I didn't. I had to figure it out the hard way. I don't think I should tell a story.
There's a lot of stories I shouldn't tell. I'm like, balancing.
I know, right?
But there's actually, how do I want to word it? I don't want to say I'll just say it helps. CBD helps bring down THC.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to use like an antidote pen, or CBD is the antidote. But again, each person is different. So somebody who's experienced high euphoria, anxiety, stress, or whatever as a side effect from cannabis could always return to a high CBD product and kind of level them down. Or like you do, you eat before, so you prepare that way, which is a brilliant way to do it just as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, to have some CBD on hand.
Always, always, always.
So this is a pretty booming market, and it seems like everywhere I turn, at least, I'm reading another article. Probably those Facebook algorithms coming after me, but I enjoy it. So I like reading about it. But Pensacola has been so surprising with the number of dispensaries that are popping up here. Since you obviously have come up from delivery person to assistant manager and helping launch another store, how can you be competitive in this market, but also keep the mission in mind?
So that's a tough one, especially in a market where we're vertically integrated. It makes it very, very difficult because real quick on vertical integration, for those who don't know.
Because I don't know.
It's important because a lot of patients come into dispensaries and they get overwhelmed and a little upset because of the process. It takes too long. We're out of product. Why isn't your system working? And the reason is vertical integration. We have to pretty much start from seedling all the way to end product. And that's to include everything in between. That's to include the point of sale system, any software, any packaging, everything in between. So for instance, let's say one dispensary is really good at growing flower. They could not necessarily get the best flower that they normally produce because they're concentrating on how to develop software to sell that product, which creates headaches down to the consumer. But to stay competitive, you have to have a lot of money. Unfortunately, this is a rich person's game right now with vertical integration. But to stay competitive is to keep it, in my personal opinion right now, medicinal. It is not recreationally legal yet, which I am pushing for, by the way. But to keep it medicinal, let's help those who need the help. Because if you walk into a dispensary looking for medicinal, looking for help to find your wellness, and you're dealing with other consumers who are there for recreational, laughing, giggling, having a good time, just don't care, joking, but you're there in pain, doesn't really help.
So keep the mission
finding wellness
first.
Yeah. Keep it about the patient, keep it about the consumer and their wellness. And on the side, if you can, help them with the recreational part, but at the same time, keep it legit, if that makes sense. I had one of my old assistant managers, her name is Angela. I won't say her last name because I'm not sure, but she will always say, don't ruin cannabis for everybody.
Yeah.
So if somebody came in, they were upset or doing something silly, oh, come on, guys, don't ruin cannabis for everybody. And that immediately sparked everybody back. Oh, okay. Yeah, we want to keep this.
Yeah, we want to have nice things.
Yes. We want to feel better.
We do, and not create more myths or misunderstandings.
Stigmas.
Stigmas. So let's address that real fast, because I still talk with people who, I literally saw this online yesterday.
It's upsetting when you see things like that.
I know.
You didn't even say it.
I was like,
know.
you know what? I try to make up, whenever someone irritates me, I try to make up a story about them in my head that makes it okay. Basically makes me not hate them or become violent towards them. Yeah. So like if you're a dodo and then I'm like, oh, you probably, I can't think of an example right now, but like, if you're really bad, I'll tell myself that you're like brain damaged or something.
So
like,
instead of burning bridges, you just raise the drawbridge.
I just make up a bridge. I'm like, oh, he got dropped on his head. So I'm like, oh, this guy that was complaining online probably had a relative that wasted his life. And cannabis was a part of that. And now he's associating a wasted life with marijuana use. So, but anyway, so that was one I heard. So talk to me about why it's not a gateway drug. That's the big one. Are you going to get addicted?
Okay, so it's a hard topic because there's a lot of history behind it. The actual whole Jimmy. The whole
Jimmy Buffett, everybody.
That's Jimmy. That's coral reefer. No disassociate or don't associate that with him. The whole reefer madness that was associated early on was because of misunderstanding. It was all about what was going on and not having medicinal value, so they associated it with cocaine. So that kept on carrying along. And that with Cheech and Chong movies and all the other movies got associated with laziness, disregard to work ethic, just not wanting to do anything and wasted life, like you said. So take me, for example, 9 months ago, 12 months ago, I retired from the military. 10 months ago, I started working for SurTerra, got my medicinal card, started using medicinal cannabis anywhere from 12.5 to 1 high CBD to a very high THC product. Very productive, went from delivery driver to assistant manager in 10 months. So if that doesn't kill the stigma of a lazy person on cannabis, I don't know what does. Yeah,
no kidding. You're like the poster child. That sound that just went off was my reminder to take my cannabis.
Oh, okay. See? Good.
See? Serendipitous.
I have it on my phone, but it's on off right now because I don't want disturbances.
Oh, because you're good and I'm bad. So
no, it's a medicine. You have to have your medicine.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to go off.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so true. I think if you're lazy, whatever you're doing is going to be a part of that laziness already. It doesn't, in this case, I don't think, it's not like it takes over your mind and your body, but it was legal up until the 1920s, I read, and then it became somewhat illegal, and then it really wasn't like regulated nationally until 1970, which is pretty fascinating.
Well, there's a lot of theories into that too, as far as big conglomerate and big pharma getting involved as soon as the 1920s. So the reason that they say that cannabis kind of fell off as a medicinal is because of the syringe, the hypodermic syringe. So it was a more immediate way to get the medicinal into your bloodstream rather than vaping or smoking at the time. So cannabis kind of fell off, and then it was demonized, in my opinion, because of big pharma and other pharmaceuticals coming up because it's naturally grown. I can't beat it.
I think I think that holds water. It also was a little bit of conspiracy with wanting to arrest hippies and Black people. And I know that sounds so off the wall, but so in addition to Pinterest, I would encourage anyone who's curious about cannabis to check out some documentaries. I'm not going to recommend one. Just start down the documentary train. Absolutely. Because you learn the real history, and then you realize how much of it was just propaganda. And I'm a 90s kid, so like just say no and all that.
I think it was just recently. Dare. Wow, with the suitcase and all the medicine.
Did you know that is nationally the most failed drug resistance program? Like it caused kids to go, thanks, now I know about those drugs, I'm gonna go find some down the street. That's literally exactly that's what the data showed. It was insane.
But I think it was just recently our recent Sessions held up a brick of Jeff Sessions held up a brick of cannabis marijuana with a brick of heroin and compared the two. Literally said, look, they're the same. And the reason he did that is because he did have context in the sense that they're both Schedule I drugs, not done rightly. Cannabis should not be on that schedule, but he did that to show effect. Like, yes, look, they're both Schedule I drugs, and those who follow whatever news outlet or whatever social media that they follow religiously don't see the other side of that. And that's why I hope to break that. That's why we appreciate bartenders, appreciate people like you who bring people who are not too sure. Bring them in. We'll do the rest of the work. Show them that it's okay and that they'll find the wellness.
Oh, and I always send him to you, like by name. I'm like, he's really nice. He knows he's an Army vet. They love that. The old ladies love that. They're like, oh,
but
God
I'm not
bless
in uniform
America.
anymore, so.
But that to them, that's a stereotype breaker already, and so that really gives them comfort. So, well, tell me. I know there's so much, but what's one thing that really comes to mind when you think what's misunderstood about the medical marijuana industry?
The one biggest thing, besides people getting upset on wait times, real quick on that one, if you're coming to dispensary, please be prepared to wait. It's like a pharmacy. We have to check your insurances, or not insurance, but your recommendations, and then we have to pack it and fill it and all that stuff. So that's one thing. So if you come in, give us about 20, 30 minutes. The other misconception is the safety. I definitely want to address that just a little bit because people are inhaling products that are not necessarily good for them. People are going to come in thinking that, oh, well, I'm inhaling a vape or oil, especially with this vape illness that's been going on and up and down. Is this okay? Find a dispensary that you trust, check them out, do your research, go in and just visit. You could go in and visit without buying any product and then see how you feel. Listen to your doctor's recommendations, check them out on Google, check them out on Yahoo, read the reviews, the stars, because your wellness or your future in cannabis and consuming it is going to depend pretty big on the bud tender that you talk to. And you could always change the bud tender like you could change the doctor. You could always change the dispensary too. You're not locked in. And lastly, if you're vaping any oils, one telltale sign that it's not good for you is if it's liquid. If you can see it moving, if you can see the bubble move around in there, don't vape it. Just put it down, take it back, throw it away, whatever you got to do. Just don't vape anything that's liquid. It's not good for you, especially with lipid oils.
I agree. Yeah. And thank you for addressing that because there's especially get it from a dispensary. Yes.
Most of the stuff is black market. It's just like anything else you get black market.
The way that, article was televised, it made it sound like even my husband forwarded me the article and I was like, did you read the small sentence at the end of the article that said, all of the products mentioned were black market? I was like, So before we wrap up, let's do some real tips on being a classy competitor, since you're talking about keeping it classy with the cannabis so we can have nice things as our small town grows.
Yes.
In so many ways, it's important to keep it classy as a competitor, whether you own a dispensary or any sort of business. So tell me what you think on these. Feel free to chime in. Number one is strive for calm confidence. I was at a vendor event and a competitor skincare product person was there, and then a jewelry lady was there, and the jewelry lady was telling me about how my products that she got from somebody else had burned her face, and that's why she does all natural. And then the competitor skincare lady who sold an organic brand said, just because it's natural, it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be good for your face, because poison oak is natural. And I thought, dang, that's a classy competitor.
It is. That was well done.
Well done. And we are friends to this day, and I'm not friends with that jewelry lady. Number 2 is he who shall not be named. Specifically naming other competitors when talking to a client or prospective client can make you look petty, and like attracts like, so keep it classy.
Yes, that's actually a big one that most bud tenders don't necessarily agree on. Some bud tenders will trash another dispensary really, really quick. Whether it be true or not is another story. I personally don't do that. If I know of a dispensary that's not necessarily 100%, which we all do, I would not excuse their behavior, but I would teach the consumer how to get the better product, if you will. What questions to ask, how to circumvent that stupidity, that idiocy, if you will, or the idiocy, and get to what they want to get.
Absolutely. Yeah. Empower them. Not just say, oh, don't do that. Don't go there. Go here instead.
Right.
And then it's like, well, you're just telling people what to do. But if you empower them with the knowledge, they can recognize today and tomorrow and the next day.
Teach a man to fish.
That's right. So any advice you want to give people who are considering cannabis for themselves?
Try it. Absolutely. Go check it out. One of the safest things that you have or one of the benefits you have on your side is that, and I don't want to say this loosely, is that nobody has been confirmed as far as overdosing on cannabis. You may feel crappy for a few days. You may sleep for a few days.
But that's a lot of cannabis.
Yes.
Like that is a
excessive.
lot. Like you're more likely to have a hangover from champagne.
Yes. Than anything from cannabis.
Anything from weed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reports on that is people using excessive amounts. Okay. It's not necessarily stronger than it was in the 60s and 70s. It's just better processed. Okay. We have better technology. So definitely give it a shot. And remember that it's not all about getting high. You have the high CBD products that's going to help you from, again, anything from sleep. The biggest one, inflammation. Everybody has an issue with that to a certain extent. All the way up to getting the euphoric effects, but not to necessarily get high, but to counteract those effects of pain and acute pain and sight pain. And if you think about it, last time I checked, oxycodone, Percocets, and all those got you a little euphoric. I'll use that term loosely in that effect.
Yes.
So it's not about the high, it's about getting well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. This has been awesome.
It has. Thank you.
I'm so glad you got to come.
Absolutely.
Way to go. That's a wrap.
Appreciate it.